Well, some New Jersey voters are saying they were absolutely not moved by former President Barack Obama's visit to the Garden State on Saturday. Some are telling Fox Digital Obama's 11th hour campaigning for gubernatorial candidate Mikie Sherrill seemed like the Democrats were throwing a Hail Mary to win what's now become a close race.
We're done hearing Barack Obama try to tell us how we're supposed to vote. He let this country down, but he especially let down a lot of African Americans. So we really don't want to hear him tell us how we're supposed to vote.
Usually when they bring in Obama and the wash-ups, hate to say some of the wash-ups, usually that means they're desperate.
The wash-ups. Well, some New Jersey Democrats say their vote is their way of standing up to President Trump.
To get Trump out of office, number one. I'm rooting for Mikie Sherrill because she actually understands all people. She is not a minion for Trump.
Your thoughts?
You know, it's really interesting to watch President Barack Obama. Look, it's normal for past presidents to be quiet and kind of let things play out. And, you know, certainly don't blame him for taking that approach. But he tries to be on the right side of the issues within his party on background to reporters. And I've noticed this trend. We were all sitting together at the RNC when the New York Times headline popped, Washington Post headline, I should say, Obama tells allies Biden's path to winning re-election has greatly diminished, according to multiple people who were briefed on the matter. So he essentially unleashed his allies to release that headline. It's typically how it works. Well, then all of a sudden Sunday, you get a new headline, this one in the New York Times. Obama calls Mamdani to praise his campaign, offers to be a sounding board, according to two people immediately briefed on the matter. Once again, very likely President Obama unleashed his team to go background to reporters. So rather than being a bold voice who kind of shapes his party on True Social the way Trump does, it's, hey, he's bold nonetheless. He does it to reporters on background. That's my guess. And it's just interesting to watch that take shape. And, you know, nothing wrong with it, but it's just an interesting way to maneuver.
Yeah, you know, Bill, he did that in New Jersey. He did that in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And he told a Mamdani report show just a couple days ago that, you know, basically an also-ran. So when you get in there, let me know if I can support you in any way.
Yeah, I would go back to the original conversation 30 minutes ago about which Democratic members of Congress here in New York endorsed Mamdani and which ones did not, because Obama did not. He said he had a conversation and want to use me as a sounding board, I'm there for you, but he did not offer an endorsement. I think with regard to where he was in New Jersey and Virginia, what I look for is, like, what town do you choose? What county do you choose? He went to Newark. That's Essex County. It's one of the 3 highest populated counties in the entire state, trying to drive the vote out. In Virginia, he went to the southeast side, down around the Tidewater, Hampton Roads area, in the Norfolk region there. Strong black population there. They got 2 colleges as well. So, I mean, maybe they see some weakness right now in that part of the voting public. You want to drive that out a little bit. I mean, maybe that has something to do with it. But I think the lack of it, I don't understand why the Speaker of the House, a Democrat, Hakeem Jeffries, would endorse Mamdani and Obama would not. I just don't get it. One more thing I want to throw out there. Kathy Hochul was this event about a week ago, and they were all screaming. She was there for Mamdani. They were saying, tax the rich. She said, I can hear you. And the next day she said, I thought they were saying, let's go Bills.
Go Bills.
What?
Yeah.
This one got by me. You know, tax the rich, let's go Bills.
Right.
I mean, it sounds a lot like...
Let's
She
go,
needs
Brandon.
audience.
Let's go, Brandon.
She needs some, like, hearing support there. Well, it's interesting because I hadn't gamed out that maybe those are the weaker areas, but it makes perfect sense.
Maybe.
Newark also has a high black population.
Yes.
What happened with Obama and Kamala Harris? He wasn't able to bring her over the threshold because he actually angered black men when he preached to them that they didn't love black women if they didn't vote for her. I mean, maybe he wasn't the guy to send in. Yeah, Martha.
I mean, it's also interesting just listening to what you're saying, Kaylee, about putting the message out there. You also have George Clooney coming out and saying, you know, the whole Kamala thing wasn't a great idea. And he's the person who lit the fire, really, under pushing Biden out. And there was a lot of discussion that that was what Obama, you know, sort of released him to do, to say, all right, we're going to pull the legs out from under Joe Biden and figure out if we can do something differently here. It's very interesting to watch this dance with Hakeem Jeffries. Schumer, I think, is, you know, I don't think anyone really would care either way if he came out and gave an endorsement to Mamdani or not at this point. But you see this dance where everyone's, you know, remember that old expression, like you can't be a little bit pregnant, right? So it's like, how close are you going to go to Mamdani, and you see people trying to weave this line because they don't know, is this the way the party is going, and do I need to warm up to this branch of the party, or can I stay over here like John Fetterman, for example, who's becoming the most interesting Democrat out there, who I'm going to have on the show later today. You know, you can see this sort of dance between these two things. It's very hard to sort of be a little bit socialist.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think carrying that, it's sort of message discipline over substance, I see it, because we don't have anything from Obama in the way of policy articulation or specifics, right? He's out there as this catalyst, not really an endorser, and he's essentially saying, we'll stay within party lines, but to my earlier point about New York City, well, wouldn't the party lines actually be Andrew Cuomo? Like, if this was actually President Obama and the policies that I think he supports, it wouldn't be half of these people, but they are so beholden to this radical portion of the party that, you know, I'm reminded sort of a fishhook that's just drawing them to the side because they failed in the opportunity over these past years to come out and say with full authority and articulation, this is not us. And again, to sound like a broken record from earlier, this is the party. Like, they could have defined those lines earlier and instead allowed themselves to sort of be drawn by it. And I also see this as, frankly, an elite echo chamber, because without that specificity of policies, he's expecting that by walking out on the stage, someone will say, oh, okay, yes, that's how I'm supposed to vote, not realizing that people are actually independent thinkers. And to your point, he represented two people, one who said, you're not black if you don't vote for me, and then another that he told them they were racist and misogynistic if they didn't vote for her. How did that go? How did it go when you are told that you are not good enough and not able to think for yourself in your decisions? So I'm sort of curious here, because I think strategically it just shows that the Democrat Party is sort of being ruled by the past. Oh, Obama will fix it. You guys made this mess, and these policies will destroy you. No amount of him will fix it.
Well, and Obama in particular, because he went so far left. He gave the nation Obamacare. He really did carry the mantle very early on for the kinds of politics now that are taking over the policy. So maybe in that sense, he was the right guy to bring in, because he must like it. He said to Zoran Mamdani, call me. I'm right there for you.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.